And we are back, my friends. And I just noticed there's a hidden deck of cards for some reason. Oh, I know why. Alright. Anyway. Alright, first order of business. Sir Everhart, you are up first, because you have the highest glory, so we'll start with you.
Okay.
Before we do that, let me describe our first round of feasting foods. Our first course is meat with mustard, roasted seal, and roast larks. Everybody has an opportunity to do one of about 5 things, unless you have indulged or lustful at 16 or higher. Does anybody have that situation? And I'm going to look at Taos' character sheet real quick for Sir Farvel. He has energetic
I'm pretty sure
16.
from last feast he has neither of those.
Correct, he does not. Does anybody have lustful or indulgent at 16 or higher? Everhart has
I think it's-
energetic
I do not.
16.
I was gonna say I think it's only a default 15 for for pagans.
Well, you get one that you can set at 16. Everybody has one they can choose to be at 16, but that does not apply.
We already know that. We already know that Rodance has set hers at prudence. So
Yeah. Oh, Daishi just sent me a message. Screen. Oh, yep. Thank you, Daishi. Good call. I felt like I missed a click. Daishi, the VIP. Okay, on that note, let me get to my... Nope, my notes. Where are my notes? There they are. Okay, in that case, Rodance, normally what would happen is you can choose to draw a card, you can indulge, you can game, or gamble, depending on how you want to look at it. You can flirt, or you can gossip. It is currently Sir Everhart's turn because he has the highest glory. So, Sir Everhart, what would you like to do, sir?
I keep wishing this was less rigid.
Well, okay, so the other thing I was going to add is that in addition to the quote-unquote official options, if you choose to do something different than that, say you want to interact with somebody in particular or do a certain thing beyond that, I will allow that if you can keep it relatively short and brief.
Okay.
I don't know how you
Well-
could be short or brief. They're pretty much the same thing, but I think you get the idea.
Right. Well, can I tell you things that I want to do at the feast, and you tell me which I can do? I suppose.
Sure.
At some point during the feast, if I didn't already do it at some point, I want to at least exchange pleasantries with my half brother.
Yes.
And see how he's settling in.
Yes, let's do
Um,
that. Or did you have others you wanted me to choose from?
I'm here.
Um,
As well, just so you know.
Okay.
I also wanted to. I know that I may not push the sway of the whole campaign, but I wanted to sort of. I know the last campaign against the Saxons wasn't that great for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of want to put a spin on it and just give like a rousing over dinner tale of like how the band around me were successful and how I even managed to get a glancing blow or a cutting blow into the leader of the Saxons we were fighting at the last
Yes. Yes. Okay.
battle, and sort of give a little spin towards the Saxons aren't so tough, we can push it to them, and maybe sort of self-promote a little bit, maybe to try to catch the eye of some of the opposite sex.
Okay. So, here's what I'll do. I'll let you choose which one you would prefer to do. If you choose to interact with Seth, I feel like your chances of earning any geniality will be pretty low. If you choose to do the other option, where you tell this wonderful tale about how you kicked ass, and the people that you were with kicked ass, Sir Ahmed kicked ass, the Saxons died. If you do well on that one, you have the chance of earning 1 point of geniality. I'll tell you what, here's what I'll do. I'll give you 2 points of geniality if you pull it off this rousing tale. And I will give you 1 point of geniality if you manage to, we'll say, make amends with Sir Seth. And then we'll decide either of those situations with a little bit of roleplay, a little bit of dice.
Okay.
And I'll let you choose
And-
which one.
Okay, so not multiple rounds as in the last feast, or I just get to choose the first round?
This will be your first round action. So instead of
Okay.
drawing cards or
So-
the other options, that you could also choose to do something
Right.
with Seth or do this grand staging.
I'll probably try to catch Seth as things are wrapping up.
Okay.
So, I'll do the speech this round.
Okay. So with what you've already said, I think we can pretty much just leave that as it is. So let's roll against your orate. You have. I'm double checking
Could I bring
here.
Passion Saxons into this?
You know what? I was wondering if we would do that. Let me look at your orate real quick. You have a total of 7 ranks or 7 skill of orate. You have
Right.
hatred of Saxons. If you channel your hatred of Saxons, I will allow a +5 and a +10 on critical, as per norm. Yeah, let's do that. So roll your hatred of Saxons, 1d20 +7. Rodance, for you, the mechanic side of this. Let me see what he rolls first. Huh, that's a success. So that's +5. So that's.
So is that a? I was gonna say, is that a critical?
Oh,
on
that's
my
an
orb?
8. Sorry. Go ahead.
I thought 1 was a critical. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. 1 is just like it's going to be a success, but if it's an opposed roll, it's probably going to be a tied success or a partial success. Rodance, for you, he's rolling against a skill value of 27, actually a passion value. So what he would do is he rolls 1d20, and instead of adding a bonus to the target number, he's actually adding to the roll itself because it's above 20, and whatever is above 20 gets added to the roll. In this case, it would be a +7 to the actual roll itself. So for all intents and purposes, he just rolled an 8. Does that make sense?
Vaguely. I think it'll make more sense as I see it a couple more times.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a +5 bonus on your orate, which, if I recall from when I just looked at, you have 7. So now your orate is currently a 12. So go ahead and roll that 1d20 against a 12. And he rolled an 11. Awesome. Go ahead and check orate as a experience check for later in the year.
Okay.
And I will give you 2 geniality. And the effect that will happen here is throughout the course of the rest of this year. No, do this. Make a note that you have successfully you've essentially boosted the morale of some of the Salisbury Knights. So those that do end up going off against the Saxons later this year, they will have a better chance at surviving. Just make a note that Salisbury Knights morale boosted, something to that effect.
I put boosted morale of Salisbury Knights against Saxon.
Yeah, because I feel like I may have just realized that I said boosted the morale of the Saxons.
Oh.
I don't know if that's what I said just now, but my short-term memory is saying that's what I said.
Word gets back to the Saxons. Some upstart knights talking.
And now they're heavily motivated to kill frickin' Britons. Okay, so that will be Everhart's turn. Sir Farvel.
So that's 3 geniality for the turn.
So far, yes.
Okay.
Sir Farvel,
Yes.
it is your turn. You can draw a card, you can game, you can indulge, you can flirt, you can gossip. What would you like to do? You're gonna game.
No,
Okay.
draw a card.
You're gonna draw a card. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I got a lot of things to alt tab through. Hold on. Okay. All right, draw a card, sir.
That one of you guys have to
Oh
do it.
yeah. My bad. I forgot. I'm going to deal this one to me. Nope, that deals to all.
Okay,
So
you
Quit.
do it because sometimes
No, wait.
different people see different things.
well,
Never
it's
mind.
oh. But on that note, by the way, I don't know if I
Yeah.
ever explained this, but I think what happened is the persons that dealt to and me as the game master, because I have the black color, we see the real one, but everybody else sees something different. So you can't just read everybody else's cards and be like, all right, well, I'm just gonna fold because everybody has a better hand than me. But I'm going to do this. So Talus, or excuse me, Sir Farvel, The host calls for a dance. The host...
Oh.
Oh, God. King Uther himself has called for a dance. That is amazing. Actually, no, it wouldn't be him. The host would probably be the Castellan or the Earl for Windsor. Whoever they may be. They have called for a dance. So this is all characters, and it is opposed. So everybody is going to roll... you're going to roll dance, or dancing, as the case may be. And based on what you get, you can receive a certain amount of geniality.
I do my dancing with a sword.
Well, that sounds about right, actually. Okay, so let me look at some character sheets here. Talus, in particular, has dancing of 2. So I'm going to roll Talus's real quick. Sorry, Talus, if this doesn't go well for you.
Yeah, you have bad luck. I just don't even know.
You don't know that.
I know that.
You got a 6. That's a failure. However, failure, you beg off and remain at your table watching the others enjoy themselves. So no extra geniality for you. Who's next? Who else is rolling dance here?
I'll go.
All right, go for it. And what is your dance score?
2.
So you
So
also
same
fail,
result
so
for me.
nothing for you.
Yeah,
Sir
but-
Dallin, if you could tell me what your dance score is and then roll the 1d20.
Also 2.
Okay.
Not
So
putting
nobody
points
put
to dance.
points. Oh, I thought that was a fumble for a second. I was like, oh man, that's gonna be bad. Okay, so nobody dances well. Some knight from like Colchester ends up receiving after over the course of like the next 20 minutes or something like that. Some random ass knight from Colchester ends up receiving the loudest and most boisterous applause at this little dance competition that happens, and that will take us to. Hold on, I'm trying to do something with this card. That will take us to... Oops. This will... Jesus Christ, get in there. Oh my God. Get in there. It's...
Deck, maybe.
No, I'm trying to get... It's supposed to line up and go into the deck.
I think it's because you've got it too close to the walls of the thing. It was
That's
tricky.
probably what it is. So I'm just going to do this. I think reset will... Yep, there we go. And I'm going to shuffle the deck a couple of times. Okay. Sir Dallin, it is your turn, my friend. So you can draw a card, and then based on whatever shows up on the card, a certain event will take place that may be humorous, it may be amazing, it may be a simple skill check, and we'll all just laugh. Alternatively, you can choose to indulge, which will require rolls between indulgence and temperance. You can you can gossip, which is intrigue. You can game, which will require gaming. And based on how things go, you can earn geniality, possibly a check to a skill or passion or trait, which I just realized I have not explained to you. So stop me if you've heard this one. But if you noticed, all the skills, traits, and passions on your character sheet have these little check blocks to it.
Uh-huh.
If you, throughout the course of a given year, if you roll a critical, or if the GM otherwise tells you, and you put a check mark in one of those traits, passions, or skills, that trait, passion, or skill is tested at the end of the year to see if it's increased or improved. So,
Okay, makes sense.
yeah, so over the course of several years, you can slowly increase, various skills, traits, or passions. Oh,
Okay.
Rev, check passion, hatred of Saxons, by the way.
Ooh, goody.
How high can you get your hatred to go?
Actually, I think technically, because I made a board for the other maps or tables or what have you. I'm pretty sure on a successful passion, your passion increases, and on a failed passion, your passion decreases. And I want to double check that. Character is inspired, acts in accordance with the passion, and gains experience check in said passion. So, no, you just get the check. It's if it's a critical, that's when you increase it right on the spot.
I'm not even sure at this point with the 27 how I even get a critical.
You would essentially, regardless of what your skill or whatever the rating is, if you rolled a 20 with the bonus being added in. So, for instance, you have a 27, you roll a 20 plus 7 because it's added to the actual roll, it counts as a critical.
Okay, so just I get a critical by rolling a 20 at this point.
Essentially, yeah.
On that particular skill.
Yep. So, what is Sir Dallin wanting to do? at this point? Earlier you mentioned some intriguey gossipiness.
You- You
yes,
didn't.
lots and lots of collecting information. It'll be useful later.
Yes. So you're rolling intrigue, yes? You rolled an 18.
Unfortunately, I rolled an 18, and my intrigue skill is only 10.
Okay. I'm going to double check and see if it says anything particular regarding if you fail.
I know this is a bit of a retcon, but Rodance, you can also. You've made that choice, but you can also draw from the deck and get a random event.
I just wanted to roll gossip first the first time.
I understand. That wasn't expressly said, even though somebody else had drawn a card.
All right. Oh. What's your gossip score? 10, yeah?
My intrigue score.
Yeah,
is
that's
10.
what I meant. Yeah. And you have 1 geniality going into this, so that doesn't make any difference. You still rolled too high to be useful there.
Not to step in, but
Uh-huh.
since she is new, Rodance, would you say that you had what was your motivation for trying to find out gossip and intrigue? Is it just
Oh, I
personal
see where you're going with
curiosity, or is there more to it?
Yeah, it's personal curiosity. I just want to collect as much information as I can about this new place that I currently am in.
Okay, so it's not like out of duty to your lord, trying to help collect information for him or anything like that.
So what he's getting at is he's trying to, in a kind of sort of roundabout way, suggest that you can invoke your passion, any one of your passions as it's pertinent to the case, and get a buff to your roll. I also want to point out you all still have reroll tokens that you can use.
What happens when you get them back?
Nothing. It's just a joke that I'm trying to get them back.
Yeah, there's a system where that actually happens. I think it's in Fate, where actually no, it's Star
Wrath and-
Wars, where if you get your tokens back, you can buff NPCs.
Yeah,
and
Wrath
then
and
they come back to
Glory,
us.
Wrath and Glory, MechWarrior Destiny, they both have a similar mechanic where if I get, like, as the players spend points for different things, the GM will get a point, and they can do certain things to mess with the players. So, my goal is just to afford you guys the opportunity to re-roll shitty
I would
rolls.
totally want to re-roll my gossip.
Absolutely, go for it. And you succeeded. So roll 1d6 for me, would you please? And ignore a 2. You got a 4. Let me check my notes. Where are my notes? Holy man, I got a lot of damn things to tab through. Where's my mouse? There it is. So you overhear a couple of servants speaking as they pass by. One's carrying a tray full of food, the other one's carrying an empty tray headed straight back to the kitchens. And you overhear one of them saying to the other, "But aren't you afraid that they're coming here? Those savages are probably marching here right now." You can, of course, stop them and, some sort of, like, what are you guys talking about? Or ignore and listen for something else, maybe?
Savages coming here is almost always us complaining about Saxons.
That would be a safe bet. You've lived in this region of Britain your entire life. The Saxons are an ever-present threat. That is a safe assumption
Yeah, and I'm
to make.
assuming that's the thing that... It's pretty obvious if there's, like, 1 or 2 things we always refer to as savages, and I'm betting Saxons are on that list.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You succeeded on that, so I'm going to award you 1 point of geniality. You may also check intrigue. I'll allow it. I probably shouldn't because you re-rolled on it, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. All right.
You mean it's not like I won't use it on every single social opportunity?
It's some of the opportunities that aren't social, I'm sure.
Oh,
Okay.
goodness, yes.
Okay, that takes us to the end of your guys' options this round. As this round comes to a close, Syagrius, who of course is relatively noticeable in the fact that he stands out because of his... God, that almost sounded racist. What came out of... I was almost going to say something about skin tone, but just... Like, it's obvious his appearance doesn't quite match everybody else's. He looks like a dude that's always got a suntan. He's got dark black hair. I mean, he literally, like, in every literal sense, just doesn't look like he belongs in this region of Britain for this time of year. Like, his skin's just too dark. He approaches your table, in fact, I need someone to roll 1d6. Since there's 3 of you, I'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if you just tell me what you'd roll.
Oh, you need all of us to, or one?
No,
of us
just
to?
one of you. Just one of you.
I'm here by the roller if you don't mind, Rodan.
Oh yeah, you're welcome to it.
I'm sorry, a 2?
Yes.
Okay, well, as it turns out, he actually approaches Sir Everhard. And comes up. He introduces himself, of course, sticks a hand out to shake hands, and I'm sure you guys, I'm sure you would probably shake his hand unless your hands are full of meat and drink, or meat and meat. That sounded bad too. Jesus Christ. Anyway, as you shake hands, he places a hand on your shoulder and he begins to tell you a small story that even as he was setting out from his home in Soissons, that the Franks were attacking that very day, that very morning. And he goes and gives this kind of it kind of has a feel of, it's almost like a canned speech, like he's told the story many times, so, he's not changing up words, he's not stumbling a lot, but he tells the story of how even as he, hopped on a horse and took off from the castle walls, even then he could see the Frankish troops closing in, fires spreading, arrows and spears coming in his general direction. And he closes his story with, he says, please, 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 anything that we can do, anything that you can do to convince your lord and the king to give aid to me and my people so that I can go home and, rescue my people from the vile Franks. Sir Farvel is probably seated near you, Sir Everhart.
No, I'm seated below the salt.
No, you are correct. It's Sir Dallin that is nearby. Now, I will ask Sir Farvel, you are seated below the salt, but it's not uncommon for people to wander about at various points in the feast. Perhaps as Syagrius came by, you happen to be in line for food and overhear this conversation, or something to that effect, maybe. It's your choice.
Sure, I overhear.
Okay. So the 3 of you overhear this. All 3 of you know the story at this point. You can ask questions or tell him you'll do what you want to do, or, whatever the case might be, but he's basically waiting for some sort of verbal or nonverbal response to having told you basically his little harrowing tale of escaping Soissons. I just wanted to say Soissons one more time.
Well, so, being somewhat of an orator myself, I'm recognizing a canned speech, correct?
Yes, but I want to point out that it's not canned so much as in, he had people prepare a speech for him. It's canned in the fact that he's told his story several times.
Right. Canned as it's not just off the tip of his tongue.
Correct.
I would probably point out that I can empathize and sympathize with his plight, as we too are facing our own invaders. Invaders
Indeed.
who in fact are enemies of the Frank.
Yeah. So if I were to summarize in a few words, would it sound something like, hey, sorry, wish we could help, but we've got our own problems?
It would be more like, not only, it would be like, we share a similar plight in that we too have barbarians at our gates that we're trying to drive off. But the barbarians that are at our gates, the Franks and we share them as a common enemy. Because the Saxons ended up I'm assuming my character would know, being somewhat well read, that the Saxons largely arrived in Brittany with the Franks at their heel. Or
not
in
far
the
behind them. Like one could argue that the Saxons are kind of being driven out of France.
That's my point. It was the Frankish, the wars with the Franks that drove Saxons into England.
Okay.
So I see the Franks and I probably would say that I see the Franks from 2 sides, both as someone who I share a mutual enemy with, but also someone who is responsible for driving the Saxons into our land.
Okay.
So I would politely empathize, and I would still put an emphasis on the Saxons for you know if I would probably counterpoint with him talking about seeing the Franks approaching the city as he fled, and I would point out how the Saxons in equality are on our doorstep.
Okay. So yeah, what I'm hearing a lot of is kind of, and I'm using very short phrasing here, boiling literally all the fat off. But wish we could help. But we have our own problems. We've got the Saxons doing the same thing to us that the Franks were doing to you. We can't deal with both at the same time. Maybe once we handle the Saxon problem for now, maybe then we can go and do something about the Franks. Does that sound fairly accurate to what you're trying to express?
Right.
Okay.
I also would be putting it in a way that, because clearly he wasn't just speaking to me, he was speaking to those around me, probably because he heard what I was saying about the Saxons before.
I mean, that's a safe coincidence. I mean, thing to assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, in short, Cyrus is... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would be saying mine not only as a response to him, but for the others around us to reinforce possibly some of the points that I had made in my earlier speech about the Saxons.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, Sagras is definitely trying to garner support from anybody and everybody. I mean, that's obviously why he came to you guys. He hasn't gone down below the salt, of course, but, anything he can do to get even the tiny bit of support will be helpful, and he will be cordial and polite, maybe a little short, but not necessarily, like, defeated short, but recognizing maybe he can't really get too much more of his point across before he withdraws. And that will take us to the end of the first round and into the second round. So I am tracking currently Sir Everhart with 3 points of geniality, Sir Farvel with none, and Sir Dallin with 2. The second round, the second course comes up. We have swan neck pudding, honey glazed chicken rolled with mustard and pine nuts, and roast bream served in dariole. I'm not 100% sure what bream is, but dariole is a pastry mold. So probably
Bream
a bunch
is
of...
the fish.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So basically fish stuffed into pastries.
I was going to make a bream joke from Star Trek.
Yeah, I was trying to enunciate that M. Once the food is announced and served, this is a good time for you guys to handle some more of your personal business. In fact, Sir Everhart, you are first, and I will ask this question. I'm going to do a small bit of railroading, but basically, who approaches whom first? Will Sir Gareth come to Sir Everhart, or is Sir Everhart going to Sir Gareth?
I'll probably take this opportunity to approach Sir Gareth.
Okay. So Sir Gareth he's not an overly large man, but he's absolutely not a small person. He has dark hair. His voice when he speaks is going to be kind of a gravelly low. He could easily do a "I'm Batman" impression with very little effort. As a frame of reference for the players. When he sees you approach, he immediately stands to, recognize you and shake your hand. He obviously knows who you are. And he motions for you to have a seat next to him at his table. You guys are both we'll just assume you're both in the same area. And he will lead off with just a general inquiry as to the overall overall health and well-being of your family in general and your sister in particular.
Pleasantries would be exchanged, I suppose, and I would, has her status, to my knowledge, changed any, and how much time has passed since the incident?
We'll say about a month has gone by. So at this point, for ease of consumption, we'll just assume that we still don't know for sure if she's actually pregnant or not.
Okay. I will say that my sister is well and in good spirits, for as one is.
Okay.
And depending on the outcome of our talks, eager to meet Sir Gareth.
This is good to hear. And he'll take a drink from his cup. He'll reach over for a pitcher, refill it. He'll offer to fill yours as well if you'd like. He is currently drinking a rather dark mead that is probably, based on what you could smell, a little bit bitter than one might expect from a mead. Go ahead.
I'm not much of an indulger, but I will take some in a show of.
Yeah, the hospitality or the courtesy side. Yeah, you'll definitely take some. You're not going to drink it all like he would. Okay. Yeah, so...
Sipping mead, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely. Sir Garrett will definitely want to know more about... He'll come right out. Listen, I gather there's a sense of urgency. I don't know what makes me feel that way, but I feel like there's a little bit of urgency here. May I ask as to the particulars? As to why your sister is suddenly available and a certain amount of urgency is present?
I will say, in a sort of an echo of the letter, possibly going into some more contrived details since then, that she is well above marriageable age. To a degree, and that, unfortunately, in part due to my mismanagement, that our family's liras are not what they once were, that our coffers are low, and that I thought I could both arrange security for my sister and for myself by urging this along.
He regards you with a very thoughtful expression. I feel like there's more to this story, he says, but I have no particular qualms one way or the other. Whatever the situation is, I'm sure I can handle it. He reaches beneath his cloak or coat or what have you, and he pulls out a small pouch, and he passes it over to you. Consider this a down payment towards whatever final price we may agree. If you're, of course, willing to continue this.
I will say I appreciate your candor and your acceptance. Part of this arrangement was at my insistence, because she had expressed interest in someone of lesser pedigree, and I felt that was unbefitting of the family name.
He does
And
that
so
like, you know when a dog is confused by what you're telling it, and it does that little head cock thing? And of course, now mind you, you know this because you have dogs. You know, usually dogs kind of snap their head to one side. He does this like slow, almost casual canting of his head. Has she slept with him?
She has not slept with this person of lower degree.
I really wish I had Garrett's character sheet in front of me right now, because I'm pretty sure he can roll some sort of skill roll to see if you're lying to him. Because I, as a GM, know the story. But anyway, he definitely gives you another one of those looks like, I know there's more to this, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. And then he says, as he, straightens up and takes a sip of his mead. Actually, it's not a sip. He takes a pretty big pull from his cup. And he says, listen, again, whatever it is, I'm sure I can handle it. If you're willing, I'm willing. We don't necessarily have to close it all out here. We can meet later. But I feel like if you're interested, I'm interested. Let's go ahead and make this happen. As I'm sure you can understand, I have my own concerns and I have my own line to propagate. Although I'm not sure if Gareth would actually use the word propagate. Yeah, I have my own line to consider. If you're willing, let's seal the deal.
Okay. I clasp hands.
Indeed. The pouch, I'm assuming you'll grab it up.
Right. Yeah, I feel it would be a little bit uncouth to count it in front of him.
No, but when you do have a moment, you can mark on your character sheet that you have received 1 librum from Sir Garrett in the form of denarii, which is probably like 12 or some dumb number like that because it's British. But you know, ultimately 1 librum. Any further negotiations can be handled at a later date. But he will, you know, getting a little ahead of ourselves. He'll probably be expecting her to be crossing the country into his lands sometime later this year. But he's generally, you know, as far as you can tell, he's generally pleased with this outcome.
So I spent 3, got 1, correct?
Is that what you spent on your fashion earlier? Was 3? I thought it was 2.
Well, I said 2, but then I upped it to 3, to be fair.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I could cheapskate it and get away with it. But,
No worries. Go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and put you down for 1 geniality. And we'll move on to Sir Farvel. Similar.
Is that one for the interaction, or just my basic 1 for the round?
It's 1 for the round and 1 for the interaction.
Okay, just clarifying.
Yep. Sir Farvel, you have a similar scenario to attend to. As you are preparing to grab another plate of wondrous, honey glazed chicken rolled with mustard and pine nuts, an unfamiliar knight approaches you, and you notice on his coat he has the crest of whatever frickin' town he's from that I can't remember off the top of my head. I have this note, actually. I thought. Hang on. Oh, yeah, Winterbourne Stoke. He approaches you, and he says, Sir Farvel, pleasure to meet you. I am Sir Alden. I was wondering if I could take a moment to speak to you about your sister's hand.
Oh, that's right. Is this my older sister?
Melisande, no. She's 16.
Right. And the rest of my family members, I believe I had an older sister that was married, right?
Probably. I have it. I'm paying a little more attention to the time than all of my notes, so I know you have at least the 1 sister, probably others.
Alright, that's fine. And he's from Winterbourne Gunnet?
Winterbourne Stoke.
Stoke.
You are from Winterbourne Gunnet.
Yeah, so he's south of me, if I remember correctly?
Nearby, relatively close. It's not that far from you.
Yeah. Okay, and is Stoke a reputable, castle?
It's another, like, socially speaking, you guys are on par with each other. You know, another manor, another vassal knight, similar to yourself. Sir Alden is a house knight bound to Winterbourne Stoke. So he would be like, you know, you have 4 or 5 or 6 house knights. He is also a house knight for the master of Winterbourne Stoke.
Oh.
He is hoping that, and he explains all of this to you in character. I'm trying to summarize a little bit so we don't spend too much time. But he is essentially hoping to get your approval before he approaches the master of Winterbourne Stoke, and, you know, the next step after that would be to talk to the Earl to gain permission to marry. He has, in his travels, Sir Alden is 20... I know I wrote this down somewhere. Where did I write it down at? I want to say he's 23, but don't quote me on that. He's not... Son of a bitch, I thought I wrote this down somewhere. Oh, yeah, there it is. 23. He is 23. Sir Alden is basically 2 years ahead of you. Plus or minus some math that may or may not work out. But anyway, he's a couple years older than you. In his travels, he's seen your sister. He's interacted with her once or twice in a far, you know, very, very formal situation. Not any sort of, like, you know, rolls in the hay or anything like that.
Yeah.
You may, if you think about it, you may or may not recognize him from a dinner that may have been held in your home at one point in time. But yeah, he's, in short, he might be kind of reaching a little bit above his station, but he feels that, you know, similar to other knights, you know, he's definitely thinking about his family, and he wants to continue his line and hopefully one day acquire his own manor. And he feels like whether he's going about this the wrong way or the right way, that this is this is the path that he wants to walk. He wants to find a suitable wife and then start working on acquiring a manor of his own.
How reputable is he in terms of like battle and stuff?
Looking over my notes, I mean, some of the stuff you probably wouldn't know. You barely know him yourself. He has a certain generous disposition. And this, you probably noticed this during your interaction with him, where he's willing to, give you a couple of pieces of food off of his own plate when he sees that your plate's empty. He's refilled your cup once or twice, and he's not doing this, at least you don't feel like he's doing this from a buttering you up sort of way. He's doing this from, hey, we're at a feast, we're supposed to be having fun and eating and drinking. Here, have some of mine.
Yep.
I can get more.
Alright, and his, what's his, religion?
He is Christian.
Roman Christian or just Christian?
That remains to be determined. I know the answer. I can't give it to you outright unless you find some way to incorporate that into your...
Can I intrigue about it?
Well, you don't necessarily have to... I'll tell you what. He's British Christian. You've determined that through your conversation with him. You are Roman Christian, am I right?
Yeah.
So, as I explained to Rodance last night, I think an easy, quick way to kind of equate the two is Roman Christian would be like Catholics, and British Christian would be Protestant. Basically anything not Catholic. Fundamentally, there's not much major difference, although I just offended all the Protestants everywhere, the entire world over, by saying that.
Yeah.
But there are some very unique and pointed differences between the two that, at various points in time have caused some fighting.
Yeah. I ask him to see how my sister feels first, and I want him to get his lord's, the household, head approval
Okay.
first.
So, in the process of closing out the conversation, he asks something to the effect of, okay, so get approval from my lord. You will talk with your sister, and we can follow this up, let's say, around, Christmas feast time?
Sure.
Okay. Alrighty. That sounds good. I'm going to give you some geniality for that exchange as well. And now we have Sir Dallin. Sir Dallin, I don't have anything special or unique prepared for you. On that note, what would you like to do? Again, we're back to the cards, indulge, game, flirt, gossip.
Yeah, let's go with a card.
Okay. Let me alt-tab over to TTS. Let me deal you a card to the purple. And if you mouse over it and then hold down Alt, it'll pop up on your screen. Jesus. Oh my. More drink. More ale is brought out.
Mandatory indulgent 16 plus.
Well, so if you have indulgent 16 plus, you have to make this test. But all players, hold on, refer to table 2.2 for the effects of the indulgent roll. Let me see what 2.2 says. That's 1.3. All right, scroll. 2. Where is this table? There it is. Modifiers to indulgent. It says ale, so that's going to get a +2. Does anybody feel like they have drank more than their share at this point? Nobody's made any actual indulgent rolls or done anything where they've explicitly said that they've been drinking. But just for RP and to change some of the values of your rolls that are about to happen, does anybody want to declare that they have drank more than their normal amount in a given night?
I'm actually being very careful. While I am appearing to enjoy myself, I'm taking it easy on the alcohol because I know that tonight is a night of diplomacy in more than one way for me.
Okay. No, definitely for you. That makes perfect sense. Sir Farvel, are you imbibing more or less normal?
Was I informed about the rumors going on about people barging in on this feast?
Nobody's barged in on the feast. Oh, you're
No,
talking about the earlier where
supposedly.
they were saying something about, I swear they're probably even marching here right now. You're talking about that
Yeah.
one? No, that was more about the Saxons and that they're probably marching on us, heading this way, not necessarily right outside the gates.
Yeah.
So, as far as your personal safety at this point in time, safety's never guaranteed, but it's probably a fairly safe event.
All right.
Probably.
Then I don't heavily indulge, but I indulge just a bit.
Okay. Sir Dallin, you're definitely doing some gossipy, intriguing, making your way around, trying to recognize names and faces and things like that. How indulgent do you feel that you probably would be? Would you be more than normal, less than normal, normal?
I would probably be more than normal just because if I'm making the social rounds, I would be expected to, oh, you have to toast this person, and oh, I'd have to,
Okay.
have a little bit of drink with that person, and it's probably more than what I would have as my normal amount.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is this.
The medieval equivalent of a pub crawl.
Pretty much.
More or less, yeah. All right, so base is +2 to your indulgent score. Sir Dallin, you would actually be at a +4. And Sir Everhart, because it seems like you're just trying to go, you're making the motions, but you're not actually drinking, you can make your indulgence with a no modifier. And Sir Farvel, you'll be at a +2. So what you do is you are going to roll your indulgent score, whatever it is, and based on the results, you may or may not be drunk. So whoever's first, oh, somebody's got to roll for Talos. God damn it! All right, that's Revs. 16. That's a failure, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you are.
Would you like me to roll for?
Yes, if you would. But real fast for Sir Everhart, he is mostly sober at this point. Sir Farvel has indulgence of, I'm looking for it right now, a 7.
Yeah, same line.
So we need a 9. Excuse me. You're rolling against a 9.
Okay. 13.
Sir Farvel is no more or less drunk than he previously was before this ale came out. And Sir Dallin, you have a +4. So what that means for you,
My
your
indulgent score is normally a 10.
correct, and which means you're now rolling against a 14 because of the +4. And you succeeded. And so what that means in this particular case, let me get back to the book. You are now drunk because you've enjoyed the call for more ale. And here's what happens. I'm going to list a few skills and traits. They're all going to receive a +5 for the rest of the night. So you get a +5 to flirting, orate, lustful, reckless, indulgent, and valorous. And if I need to repeat any of that, please let me know.
So, in the second round, I become drunk, so I get a +5 to flirting, orate, lustful, reckless, indulgent, and valorous.
Correct. You also receive a -5 to literally everything else.
Ew. Okay.
Yes. That card had a 0 on the top right hand or top left corner. That white 0 there. Normally, whatever that number is, if you, in lieu of any other instructions on the card, whatever that white number is whatever geniality you would earn that round. So you earn only your base 1 geniality. I will allow you, if you haven't already, to check indulgent for all 3 of you. No, I take that back. I take that back. I'm sorry. Sir Dallin can check indulgent. The other 2 that failed can check temperance. Especially Rep. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I might need you to check that for me.
Yeah.
Or just
So-
write it out for me.
Yeah, I got you.
I would say send him a message on Discord would be the easiest way for him to have a note.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
work too.
Yep. Let me. Oh God, I gotta alt tab so much.
when you say check, do you mean check the little box, or
Yes.
do you mean roll?
Yeah, check. So, for clarity's sake, I will probably screw this up every now and again, but I am trying to go with test whenever you need to make a roll, and check for when you need to put a check mark in. Check temperance for winter phase in 486. Okay. And that will take us to the final round. A quick recap of geniality, and I'm going to have to wrap this up pretty fast. Currently, I have Sir Everhart at 5 geniality, Sir Farvel at 1, and Sir Dallin at 3. One last note for the second round. As everybody is making their way back towards their seats towards the end of this round, everybody will notice, I'm not going to require any rolls, but it can be noticed that the three of you, regardless of where you're sitting, Merlin the Magician is watching you guys rather intently. In fact, it is almost as if he is studying you. Whether collectively or individually, it's hard to tell, but he has definitely got his eyes on you, and there is absolutely no way that he can hide that from you. Is there anything that you want to do in response?
I was gonna facetiously say I march up to him and demand the wizard to cease his attention, but no, I wouldn't do that.
That's probably not a good idea.
We're those are female knights. We're not gonna go proposition him.
Okay.
No, I would not do that. It merely popped into my head, but my character might have thought that he doesn't appreciate the attentions of someone so steeped in magic.
Indeed. Indeed. Especially if you know, at least in one form of argument, if you're as religious as your character appears to be, having a wizard of all people staring so intently at you is probably a bit disconcerting. Probably
Right.
more than just a bit. I want to pose a question to the group. I have one more round for this feast planned, which is more than just the actual feast game. There's another small tidbit thrown in there, as well as any chances for you guys to do something other than the 5 main mechanics. How do we feel about continuing for about another half hour? And feel free to say, no, you can't do it.
I'm game.
Wait, do what?
I'm basically asking if we're good to go for about another half hour or so. Rodance is in
Probably not.
particular because she is on the other side of the...
Mark.
Yeah. Alright, here's what we'll do. Because even one person is saying probably not a good idea. I'm going to summarize the final round and then we'll tally up the geniality as it is. In the final round, in fact, we'll basically end the feast there. As the feast itself is winding down and some of the people are starting to leave, you guys will notice that Prince Maddock can be seen conversing privately, often, in a corner somewhere or something. Prince Maddock, Earl Roderick, Sir Elad, and Sir Amig are having what appears to be something of a heated discussion amongst themselves. For the sake of argument, the three of you are currently together. Perhaps you guys were gathering up all of your last things and maybe heading out together or something like that if you choose. But it's at this point that you notice that the 4 of them, Prince Maddock, Earl Roderick, Sir Elad, and Sir Amig, are in a rather heated discussion. At which, after a moment or two, Prince Maddock, in what appears to be a dramatically angry huff, turns about on his heel and walks off rather abruptly and rather quickly.
I just look at me still being vaguely drunk. Just look at my senior Knights by here and going, what was that?
I'm wondering what Sir Elod could be so not eagerly, but heated about in a argument.
Well, so for clarity's sake, Maddock in particular was very much visually or visibly upset. Roderick was probably a little bit more sedate. Elad and Amig were probably following their lord's lead. So the three of them, Roderick and his two big marshals, were fairly well maintained as far as composure and demeanor goes. Maddock definitely looked like he was trying to do something and did not get his way, and almost in a childish fit kind of way, stormed off.
I'm going to wonder that if the prince has interest in territory, this is my character's inner monologue is wondering if the prince had possibly had designs on Frankish territory, or on Gaul, on having his own slice of Gaul.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But my focus is still going to be on speaking to my brother before the affair is over.
Yes. Okay. I want to point out as the GM that earlier in the evening that Prince Maddock did make rather made clear his intentions that they will be marching against the Saxons.
Then I will probably be distressed that seems like the others have the other way around.
Correct. That Roderick and the others are probably more interested in going into France or Gaul or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm assuming it would be appropriate to go check in with our liege before heading off.
If you wish, do you wish to approach him now?
Yes. I'm assuming that dude being our liege person is like, hey, do you need us to do anything? No, cool, bye.
Okay, is that the method in which you approach him? You're just looking, hey boss, everything okay? Do you need anything? Is that the manner in which you approach him?
And if he has any instructions for a shiny new knight. And after the feast and all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I'm assuming because he's my liege, I'll share the couple of unusual tidbits that I heard.
Okay.
That I picked up out of curiosity, but I might as well share, right?
So you kind of get not necessarily mixed signals, but you get the impression that the Earl definitely has concerns about the Saxons, but he doesn't necessarily seem overly surprised or even intrigued by the information that you provide as far as the Saxons and the bits that you overheard about. I think you heard something about the Gaul, or
Yep.
stuff in France. It's almost as if it's like old, not necessarily old news, but yeah,
Those
it's like
should be common news.
yeah. Like this is like, okay, this isn't the first time I heard this, but thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like, do we need to do anything about this? Those just happen to be the popular rumors that I managed to pick up.
Yeah. I think the impression you get, like I said, he's kind of not quite mixed signals, but definitely almost as if he hasn't quite made up his mind, or he hasn't worked out all the particulars that he might want to. But as far as any instructions goes, he just kind of looks at you, not quite a double take, but definitely like, hold up, you're drunk. What you should do right now is just go to bed and sleep this off.
I just happy nod and go, sure, boss.
And
the nightly equivalent of.
but he does
Lord.
close it with, there is much for us to consider and much for us to discuss in the coming days, and we will address that soon, rather than later. Anything else for Rodance? Or excuse me, I'm sorry, Sir Dallin.
Nope.
Okay, I want to do this quick scene with Sir Everhart and Sir Seth, and then we will wrap up the session with feedback and closeout or outros or whatever. Sir Everhart, as you're getting ready to leave, you notice Sir Seth already has a cloak on, and it looks like he's trying to, in his somewhat drunken state. You know, he's not stumbling drunk, but he's definitely having a moment where he can't quite get the hood up over his head. And then he realizes that what he did is he put his cloak on and got the hood folded in, like, underneath the cloak. So he's kind of struggling, trying to pull it out and then pull it up over his head. As you notice him, and if you decide to approach him at this point.
I would approach him warmly as if to embrace him, and if he offers to reciprocate, when I give him the hug, I'm going to help him out with the surreptitiously helping him out with the hug.
He definitely kind of jumps a little bit. He wasn't expecting anybody to get that close suddenly. It's obvious he's intoxicated. You know, probably a drink or two short of the stumbling I'm ready for bed right now, but definitely like a certain amount of unsteadiness. You get kind of a cold shoulder at first, but perhaps because he's been drinking, he's not holding up any sort of cold exterior that he might otherwise have, and he'll be hesitant as far as the embrace, but once you go to like help him out with his hood, he just kind of assumes that that's what you were trying to do. It wasn't necessarily for a hug. So it's kind of one of those like almost awkward hugs, and then the hood's up. And he says, thank you. Thank you, Everhart. I appreciate that. I've had better nights.
I'm going to ask him how he's settling in. Is he being treated well?
I'm going to use a line that I use at work a lot. I've had better, and I've had worse, so I guess I'm breaking even. Sir Amig seems to indicate that I will be soon taking over Ember. As soon as we can work out the details, I'll probably not quite a manor lord as you are, but a certain amount of responsibility within Ember. And for clarity's sake, Ember is the town that y'all went to hunt down the bear.
Okay. I fill him in on any details that I know of the town, and point him and give him anything that I think might be useful to him.
Oh yeah, like name drop the priest's name that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Right.
Gar or something like that, I think it was.
Point out the industries to take take note of.
Mm-hmm.
And when we heard other loud parties, did we determine if those were bandits or if those were just other hunting parties?
Oh, like when you heard other loud noises and whatnot in the... No, those were other hunting groups, all working collectively towards finding the bear.
Okay. I thought we might have had a bandit situation, in which case I was going to warn of it.
Or rather, if there were, it wasn't like there was nothing that definitively said bandits, so it's probably safer to just assume that they were probably other hunters.
Right. And I'll also let him know that if he needs anything, to not hesitate to try to get a hold of me.
I appreciate that. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little surprised. I can't promise that I'll ask for anything. I don't think there's anything I need that Sir Amig won't be able to provide. But should the need arise, I will... Oh man, it's been a long night. I'll give it due considerations. I'm sorry, brother. I should probably go. I'm about to, as they say, fall out.
I basically offer to put my hand around his shoulder and guide him out if he'll accept it.
He, again, that cold exterior for a half second or something like that comes up. He kind of hesitates. He's not really sure what you're trying to do. But otherwise, after a moment, he realizes that you're simply trying to assist him. And he'll follow your lead out the door as he quickly puts together that you have not imbibed nearly as much as he has. Anything else?
The shadows, I stab him and like, no, okay.
Yeah, wow. All right, I think we can wrap there. I have one question for Sir Farvel, Talus. You currently have a grand total of 1 geniality for the evening. If you like, I will allow you to expend one of your reroll tokens to roll a skill of your choice to see if you can acquire a second geniality, or a third if you happen to critical it.
I will let you choose the skill and roll for me.
Yes, because you can't read your own character sheet right now.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wow, you have a 16 in hunting. Holy shit. I tell you what. Given the course of the evening, you had a pretty good interaction with Sir Alden. You got to see your lord have something of a verbal spat with the prince. You got to see Merlin staring at you intently. Let's do this. Let's roll. You know what? You've got an awareness skill of 15. That may not necessarily be the best choice, but I'm going to roll with that. So let me get over here and roll your 15 and see what happens here. And that's a fumble.
See, I told you you're lucky.
I tried so hard to get you geniality, and I fucked you with it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's all right. It'll all work out one day. Okay.
2 geniality.
Yeah, -2. No, I'm not gonna do that to you. Okay. So real quick, let me tally up everything. I have 5 for Everhart. That's 50 glory.
Okay,
I have-
so none for the brother.
I'm sorry. Oh, for Sir Seth.
Yeah.
That
That was kind of after I get it, but I
Yeah.
was-
No. You know what? I'll give that one to you. I'll give you 6 for that one.
Okay, so-
Or 6
so
total.
1 point. Right.
60 glory, 10 for Sir Farvel, and 30 glory for Sir Dallin. Now, on top of that, you're going to add an additional 100 glory for everybody because this was a royal feast. So that, go ahead.
Message me that, how much geniality I got. All I heard was
yeah.
1 so far, plus whatever else I got.
Yep, I'll message that to you real quick. Plus 110 glory for Royal Easter Feast of 486. So that's Everhart 160. Oh damn! Did I just message you 160 or 110? No, 110. Okay. God, my brain really fucks with me sometimes. And
Well, you might
for
have been-
yeah, 130 for Sir Dallin. All right. So that will conclude the feast. I do apologize. We ran out of time for that final round, but we did hit all the key points, I think, throughout the night. Real quick, let's go around the horn. Oh my god. I have so many windows open. Real quick, some feedback for the evening, for the session, from my players.
I enjoyed it outside the part where I lost power, and my dad rolled sucky dice for me. But other than that,
Listen, I gotta take responsibility for that one, because I did roll it. Somebody else could have rolled it and still gotten a 20, but you know what? I'm the one that did roll it, so.
yeah, watch this. If I asked the A word in my house to roll a 1d20, it would probably be shorter than 15.
Let's do
But
it.
hey.
Do it. Do it. I wanna-
Alright. Alexa.
And
roll
everybody's
1d20
assistant worldwide on the video heard.
When I rolled for him, it came out favorable.
17 minus 16.
Alexa, roll 20 dice.
Here's some music by Tony Dye.
Roll.
Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that.
Stop.
Okay.
Alexa, stop.
Now we can't get her to stop. That's funny.
That's beautiful.
All right. Anything else? Anything else, Talos? Before
No,
I move on to the
that's
next
it.
one. Okay.
That's it.
Don't go anywhere just yet. Rev, feedback for tonight. And the reason why I'm asking, by the way, is I've tried to change up the feast a little bit and give you guys a little bit more options and a little bit more opportunity for role play compared to the first feast.
Yeah,
So-
I appreciate the option to be a little more flexible with my skills.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely I tried to add some unique stuff for everybody, and as well as a little bit extra that applies to everyone. For instance, and there's a reason why. There's reasons for the stuff that happened. Syagrius, for Merlin staring at you guys, and for you guys overseeing the interaction between Matic and Roderick. All of that stuff will come out, if not in the next episode, then later on. And then again, I'm working on creating based on how situations come up, individualized or individual based, storylines. So, Rodance, you will have something soon as your character, progresses in the game. We'll have, more personalized stuff for your character as well. But any feedback from you, Rodance, as far as tonight's session?
I have a lot of notes. God.
I hope that's good.
Chart of all these random people.
I have I have an Excel spreadsheet of NPC tracking that includes all of y'all's families, the handful of knights and lords and shit that we've already discussed or seen. There's probably a few people that I have not put on there that I should. In fact, I'm not even sure if Merlin is on there. Of all fucking people, Merlin.
God.
But yeah. If you guys, I'm trying. As you notice, also, I will try when I bring up a reference to another person or place or event. I try to throw in a little reminder, and I hope that's helpful for everybody. But I do hope also that everybody is taking notes for their own edification, because I would really think it's cool if you guys pulled out some reference to something that happened earlier in the campaign, and I'm sitting there going, "Who? What? Oh, it happened. Blah 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 blah." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember that now."
Yeah, I got drunk at my first royal feast.
That's not uncommon. That's like it's a feast. You're supposed to be having fun, enjoying, interacting. I personally would have liked to see more cards, but I know. So my experience with the feast is Eric Vulgaris is another streamer / YouTuber who has so far in his Pendragon campaign that I've seen made it up into about either 430 something or 450 something. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. He's made it quite a ways, and his players absolutely love pulling cards for their feast events. And so listening to their playlist of their Pendragon campaign, I almost immediately became enamored with the idea of these cards creating role-playing opportunities. So definitely wanted to include it here with our campaign. And then, of course, I ran into people like Rev, who's like, well, we're just ham-fisting things and trying to make things happen. I'm like, yeah, I hear where you're coming from. So you want more options is what I'm getting. And he wasn't the only one who had a voice of that opinion. So I had to incorporate other things. But I like the way this turned out, other than the fact we didn't have time to do a full third round. But that's a time constraint concern and not so much a, execution, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. Anything else from anybody before we move into outros?
Nope.
Rev, Rodance?
Nope.
Awesome. Rev, anything before we move for the final outro phase? I'm going to assume that either he's muted or
Can
lost.
you hear me now?
Yes.
I was saying no. It might have been filtered out.
Yeah, nothing came out, unfortunately. So on that note, let's go ahead and do some outros. Rodance, you did the last intro before me. It's your turn on the outros. Some kind words for the viewers. Some projects that you may be working on or involved with that you may want to announce.
We are going to have a lot of fun playing Pendragon and our other new game, hopefully.
Celesta. I think we'll have lots of fun with it.
Celesta. Yes, we're still trying to debate who's playing which class. It's going to take us forever.
Well, we still have a few days to go to get it all nailed down, so hopefully by Monday we'll have it figured out. Otherwise, we may start and then be like, this isn't working out. Let's switch this up and start again. Fuck it, who cares? We're gonna make a show out of it, and we'll make something stick, right? That's my approach, anyways. Okay, let's go to Talus. What kind of stuff would you like to bring up for your introduction on our way out of here?
Nothing.
Did you get Alexa going again or something?
Alexa,
turn off power.
roll a 20-sided die.
I rolled a 20-sided die and got 16.
If you wanted something, it would have worked.
Say Alexa, roll a d20.
No, I he
She
said
rolled a 16 if I heard that right, and he needed
Yeah.
a 15.
Oh, okay.
If you went with hunting, it would have been a different
I
story,
thought I
but-
heard. I rolled a d20 and back like it was the title of a book, and I'm thinking,
Oh man, that was the best part of my night right there when Alexa disproved your theory.
Yeah. Alright, I'm going.
All right, he's out of here. Rev, what do you got?
Rev Everett, I was kidding about the perineum stunning day spa, and queued up 1,500 dice.
Oh God, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Yep, I'm gonna mute the computer while I do my part.
Have a good night.
Of course, now I can't hear. Oh God damn it! Hold on a minute here. All right, watch this. Rev's not gonna like this when I do this. All right, now that we've got that mess taken care of, I am Omar Krieg. This has been episode 6 of Blood and Glory, a Pendragon campaign. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming by and hanging out, even if it was just for a little while, or if all you did was just sit in the background. That's totally fine. I really appreciate it. Either way, I don't know if I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. I very well might be, though. I don't know what I'm going to be streaming. I have 2 ideas. I haven't figured out which one I'm going to do. But come back here tomorrow around 7 p.m. Pacific time, and you will see what I'm going to do. Other than that, we do have... we're going to try to get this group together for Solasta starting on Monday. That'll be a weekly event as well. As well, of course, episode 7 next Tuesday right here at twitch.tv/Omar Krieg. You can catch this video shortly after this stream ends. I'll be uploading the video to YouTube, and you can find it at youtube.com/@Omar Krieg. And if you're already there on the YouTube watching this video, please like and subscribe and all the other silly things that YouTubers ask viewers to do, because your support is that important to us. In the meantime, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much. I will catch you probably tomorrow. Have a good one.